The 2026 season starts in a few months, when the new Formula One era begins, with new cars, regulations, power units, drivers, teams, and more. This, as always, creates uncertainty about who will get their car design right, which teams will miss out, who will be the top engine supplier, and how prepared is each team for the season. In this video analysis, we're going to try to explain which team looks best prepared for 2026 and what strengths and weaknesses will help them arrive better prepared for that season. And we'll review a bit of their current status, trying to figure out who has the advantage and who looks the least prepared for the upcoming season. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video analysis of which teams are best prepared for the 2026 season. We begin with Cadillac, the new team set to officially debut in Formula One in 2026. The team that received authorization in 2025 to join the Formula One grid, which was previously the Andretti project and is now the project of the American giant, a subsidiary of General Motors. As a new team, they will face all the usual challenges. They are building a Formula One structure from scratch, unlike other teams who enter by buying existing ones. And for obvious reasons, it gives a huge advantage compared to those who enter completely from scratch. This will likely impact their first and possibly second season. You need to assemble the pieces one by one so the project takes shape. Since, as we will remember, Cadillac will be a team that starts from scratch twice. In 2026 as a Formula One team and in 2029 as engine suppliers for their own team. A benefit of this structure is Andretti's progress, as he already had a project to enter Formula One. The team has facilities and has begun their 2026 car development program. Testing, simulations, competitive weekend simulations, and hiring experienced staff have helped them make significant progress on their project. However, as we've often noted, Cadillac is starting from scratch, so its learning curve will be much steeper. On their side, they have Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas, two experienced Formula One drivers with many Grand Prix races, who will definitely help reduce learning time with their contribution. And where? Checo and Valtteri aim to use their experience to help develop the vehicle and coordinate all aspects of Cadillac. It's expected that the North American team will spend the first seasons putting all the pieces in place, understanding Formula One dynamics, its pace, and assembling the right team. It's a job that will take time for Cadillac. And therefore the prediction is that most likely, due to all those typical limitations of a newly arrived team, Cadillac will belong to the group at the back of the grid. They might also have a stable car that lets them compete in the midfield group. They're more likely to start as a backmarker team. However, this wouldn't be a failure since it's to be expected, knowing that organizing a competitive structure takes time. Although they plan to build their own engines, they'll use Ferrari's engine for the first 3 seasons. If the Italian brand develops a strong power unit, it can make the team more competitive and move them ahead of others on the grid. For now, it appears 2026 will be a learning year, with the team settling into the lower group, progressing gradually. And it may be that fighting for points happens occasionally, which is practically the goal, at least in their first season. Thank you. Alpine will switch from a constructor to a Mercedes customer team in 2026. This will truly seem like progress, given the whole hybrid era of Formula One. If anything has characterized Alpine Renault, it's that their power units have never been up to the level of their rivals. In recent years, reliability and power issues have consistently caused the French team's poor performance. So with the engine change, and especially with the rumors that Mercedes might have the fastest power unit on the grid. The only problem Alpine has is that if there's something this team lacks, it's order. Since 2022, they've been going through constant restructurings, staff losses, changes, and a long list of other things that haven't brought any stability to the French team. And above all, this translates into poor performance. In 2025, more changes came with Oliver Oakes' departure. All the internal conflict with the Dujan Colapinto situation and Alpine's terrible form, where they are the last team in the Constructors' Championship, being by far the least competitive team compared to the rest of the grid, Flavio Vettori knows that the last thing he needs is to keep changing things for the upcoming seasons. He's betting that stability will finally arrive from now on. but seeing the organizational mess this team has and the fact that its technical department hasn't been as solid as those of other teams. Due to ongoing changes and internal instability, the lag they're experiencing could impact them. With the new 2026 season car, like I told you, it's expected that with the new engine and with almost all resources invested for that season, quickly abandoning the 2025 concept, Alpine can make a leap forward. We'll see if it's enough to belong to the midfield or if, on the contrary, all those changes and conflicts result in a bad start to 2026. The North American team, currently second to last in the constructors' standings, chose early in the season to focus most resources on the 2026 car. In 2024, they partnered with Toyota, gaining access to its aerodynamic simulation tools and race support. However, this partnership could still help them advance in the constructors' standings. Also, they are now financially stronger than before. There are some delayed elements, especially with the 2026 car assets that won't arrive in time this season. Like with the simulator issue, since Haas lacked one, this technical partnership gives them access to that tool. Haas previously used Ferrari's simulator, but is now building their own to improve efficiency and responsiveness with their car. But the simulator's development is delayed, which could impact their understanding of the 2026 car, and it could make them prone to falling into failed design philosophies. Although they're focusing on next season's car, they must still manage current limitations. And with the new technical regulations, where energy recovery and deployment require a lot of knowledge, not having this tool can be a huge burden for them. So Haas could be one of those teams that, due to their size, resources, and ongoing dependence on Ferrari, might not be in a better position.
Looking ahead to the start of the new technical regulations.
You can't expect much from Racing Bulls. This is due to their natural position as Red Bull's B team, where they recently reorganized again to become a structure that develops young talents who can serve the main team. And it's known that much of Racing Bull's performance will depend on how strong Red Bull is, since they are highly dependent on them. But the biggest question surrounding this structure is how the engines of this team will perform. Because, as you recall, in 2026 they'll stop using Honda power units and switch to their own with collaboration. But I want to talk a little more about this in detail when it's time to talk about Red Bull. As a B team focused on developing young talent, you shouldn't expect major progress from them by 2026. Even with the reset of the rules. In the best case scenario, they'll be positioned in the middle of the table, and in the worst case, the back of the grid awaits them, if either the car is weak or the engine is a disaster. Sauber will become Audi's official Formula 1 team in 2026 when Audi joins the category after acquiring the Swiss team. It's true, Audi bought one of the least competitive teams in recent years, and since then, their 2023 season hasn't been easy. And they started off terribly, with an internal fight between the team leaders, André Seidel and Oliver Hoffmann, in a power struggle that left the project without direction or credibility. In response, Audi's top management made last-minute changes, hiring Mattia Binotto and firing Seidel and Hoffmann. Once lacking direction and facing a bleak 2026, Sauber now has leadership, order, and improved performance. The strong hires didn't stop with Mattia Binotto. You also have to add the arrival of Jonathan Wheatley, who is currently serving as the team's principal. After years with Red Bull, there's been major progress in the Swiss team structure for 2025. They are fighting to become the 5th best team in the constructors' standings, having already secured a podium at the last British Grand Prix. This has become order, progress, and strong confidence for the 2026 debut. They have admitted they're behind schedule in developing the power unit, and Binotto himself has commented that their engine won't be the best and will have a significant deficit compared to other power units, which could leave them stranded in the midfield until they can fix that deficit, which they estimate exists in the power unit as a result of their constant delays. However, Audi has extensive experience developing hybrid power units thanks to their background in motorsport. So, with the open development of power units, their experience in that area, and the order this structure has found, they might not be top championship contenders in 2026, but this team could see exponential growth in the future. Many eyes across the entire grid will be focused on Aston Martin. 2026 is expected to be the year they finally make the long-awaited leap in quality. This follows millions spent on infrastructure and hiring top talent like aerodynamics expert Adrian Newey, giving support to their technical department and their new collaboration with Honda, which will make them an exclusive team or client. It's a team that, thanks to all their investment, many see as being obligated to win as soon as possible. Thanks to their investment in wind tunnel, training, simulator, and talented staff, they have great potential to achieve it. However, Aston Martin has faced some issues on its path to 2026. Some data correlation issues have been identified and are being addressed, but resolution may take time. Honda's role as an engine supplier is uncertain, since they must now adjust to Aston Martin's environment. After 8 years at Red Bull, they will now have to manufacture some components previously supplied by Mercedes, marking their first experience in this area. Riccardo Patrese said Adrian Newey told him he doubts Aston Martin will be ready to compete for titles in 2026. Internal leadership has tried to lower expectations about this regulatory change. The good thing in his favor is that Newey has dedicated all his time and resources to contributing to the 2026 car, which, although it won't be 100% his own car. Since he joined the Aston Martin project late, his input will be valuable, especially as he avoids spending time on the 2035 car. It's possible for Aston Martin to compete for titles in 2026 given all their resources. Realistically, Aston Martin seems equipped to compete for regular podiums and perhaps an occasional win, on a good day when things align for them. Aim to be in a stronger position in 2027 using 2026 as a learning season to assess the best path for developing the new technical regulation. They have the tools, the staff, and the talent. The question now is how long it will take for each piece to likely become a Swiss watch. What if the Honda partnership succeeds from the start when the cars debut on track? For pre-season, Williams was among the most aggressive teams. They sacrificed most 2025 car development time, made few updates, and shifted nearly all resources to the 2026 car, and to have a better foundation to aim for a performance leap next season. It's working for them so far, as they've maintained 5th in the constructors' standings since the championship began. They began the season with a strong design philosophy, leading to many positive results. But as the season progressed, other midfield rivals caught up to them. And now their position as the 5th team is being strongly threatened, so if they finish in this 5th position, after having shifted most of their resources and research to the 2026 car, it can be considered a complete and resounding success for Williams. This season, they'll have a car developed from an early stage. In 2025, in addition to having what is rumored to be the best power unit, Williams still faces technical issues, which are evident in their current car. Their technical department still has much to improve. All that focus and the changes they've made are a sign that if the power unit is the strongest, as has been rumored, and if they maintain their usual strength, at the very least, they could keep their position as a clear, strong midfield team. It seems unlikely that they can break into the group of the top teams. But the amount of aerodynamic testing hours they have at their disposal, in addition to having focused very early on the next season, gives Williams good tools to work with and puts them in a good position looking ahead to 2026. Red Bull is one of the teams that raises the most questions for next season. In 2025, they fired Chief Executive Officer and Team Principal Christian Horner and underwent a minor restructuring, which, just months before a rule change, is never a good position to be in. They will also debut as engine manufacturers in 2026, their first year with their own power units in partnership with Ford. Many rumors surround the engine situation for other manufacturers, and even engine developers have weighed in. Audi admitted their development is delayed, while Honda said their power unit progress is good. Little is known about Red Bull powertrain's situation. The only recent comment was made by Lauren Mekis, who said it would be foolish to think they will be on the same level as Ferrari and Mercedes. Immediately, he said he understands the complexity of the challenge, but that he is satisfied with the progress his team has shown. Initial signs suggest Red Bull doesn't expect to have a top engine in their first year. That will clearly be an advantage for them. The changes they've made in recent weeks seem to have helped the team get back on track. And in Italy, we saw updates that worked, changes that turned out to be right, and an RB21 operating in a functional window, where even Verstappen himself commented that now they feel there is progress and that there is a response to the tough times they have to go through race by race. Also, because of their position in the constructors' standings, they get more aerodynamic testing hours than their rivals. That will give them more R&D on the car. But with all their volatility since 2025 and their engine manufacturing debut, this might not be ideal for Red Bull to reclaim their throne next season. So I wouldn't say Red Bull is best positioned for 2026, given all the processes they've faced in 2025 and still need to overcome. There's also uncertainty about how the engine compares to rivals. which is not exactly a good omen for the energy drink team. Much of Mercedes' hopes to return to the top of Formula One rest on this technical regulation. They've put significant time and resources into the new power units, knowing this is the ground effect era. It's never been their strong suit, as they've struggled every season. But now, with ground effect minimized, the return of flat floors, and these new power units, Mercedes is considered a top contender in the paddock under the new technical regulations. But as I said, engine performance is currently just a speculation and rumors from journalists and Formula One staff. If true, Mercedes will clearly have a strong advantage. However, an issue has plagued them since 2021. Their technical department is a far cry from its former glory. They've never gotten it right under the 2022 regulations, which doesn't give any guarantee that, despite the end of ground effect through the Venturi tunnels, Mercedes can refine their design philosophies to stay on track in the development race. Even if their chassis is the grid's most competitive, with their supposedly faster engine, they can build a dominant, uncontested car. Mercedes has recently been defined by aerodynamically inefficient cars, poor understanding of them, and inconsistent performances, winning a Grand Prix and then vanishing for the next 5. In addition to updates that sometimes work and sometimes don't. With such a weak technical department, there's no guarantee their car will be competitive or their design philosophy correct. Mercedes' only major drawback is this: for 2026, their success depends on whether their changes are correct. Ensure the technical department's refocus is effective and that staff restore their technical department to the level of direct rivals. If they succeed, Mercedes could be in an unmatched position in this new era of 2026, but even so, there's still a lot to fix. If Mercedes wants to reclaim the throne as the best team on the Formula One grid, Ferrari in 2025 are likely among the season's biggest disappointments. After battling for the Constructors' Championship in 2024 and nearly winning it in 2025, they accept being the second or third car, depending on the race, with no chance to compete against their historic rival McLaren. This shows that technical department still lacks perfect correlation between on-track performance and simulator data. They'll have more wind tunnel hours than McLaren, giving them an edge in developing the 2026 car. But the technical inconsistency of the team could make exactly the same thing happen as we've seen this year. That they make a mistake in the design philosophy and get stuck in a loop like the one we've seen practically throughout this entire ground effect era. Things like failed updates, misconceptions, and so on. Regarding their power unit issue, the rumors suggest that Ferrari would start off well, and according to some rumors within the paddock, Ferrari has a good understanding of this power unit. Their experience is key to understanding that they may have a solid foundation with these new engines. So the platform for 2026 is solid. Their technical weakness raises doubts about Ferrari matching top teams in 2026. But if everything goes well, it could be a new opportunity for the Prancing Horse team to fight for the championship again next season. And the McLaren team is clearly the dominant force of this 2025. And many people hope that the new technical regulations and the reset of the rules will make them lose that huge advantage they currently have. The question everyone has right now is, will this be enough to stop McLaren's dominance, or do they have the foundation to establish a new era for this team? Besides losing their current strength in the reset, they also face challenges due to their leadership position. They will be the team with the least amount of aerodynamic testing time, since, in order to level the playing field, the teams at the bottom have the most hours at their disposal compared to those at the top who receive the least. The Constructors' Champion is the team with the least time for aerodynamic testing. This will limit the car's development and put them at a major disadvantage, even against direct rivals. But will that disadvantage be compensated by the time they've had in 2025 to work on the 2026 car? With their dominance, they've focused most resources on next year's car. And him? This season, having received few updates, he has managed to maintain his strength and an almost dominant position. That extra development time, which their rivals haven't had, could help them secure their position for the 2026 season. Their data correlation between wind tunnel, simulator, and track has been efficient. Their technical department is relentless, and every upgrade works, helping them maintain dominance. And on top of all this, they will receive what, according to rumors, will be the best engine on the grid in 2026. So, taking all these elements into account, McLaren has a super advantageous position to at least maintain their status as leaders. I'm not talking about dominance, but at least about continuing to be the target to beat, and for obvious reasons. Their strengths and advantageous position don't exempt them from possibly suffering from a flawed car concept. This could set them back and leave them worse off than direct rivals. If McLaren loses its dominance, it will likely be due to a bad concept and poor design philosophy. But with all those cards in its favor, McLaren is the team that looks best for 2026. A team that works like a Swiss watch with an outstanding technical department, fully functional state-of-the-art facilities, and highly talented staff. And if we add to that it turns out to be true that Mercedes has the best power unit, well, don't be surprised if McLaren maintains its very powerful position as the absolute leaders of Formula One for at least a while longer. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the video. Analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of each team looking ahead to 2026 and who looks best for that season. So here's my question: which teams are best set for 2026 and which are in the worst position? Do you think the McLaren era will last beyond 2026? Or do you think that regulatory change will be enough for them to lose their position and for any other team to catch up with them? Let me know all your opinions in the comment section. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you know when I'm uploading a new video, and share this with your friends. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the video description. See you soon. For more content on your Skyline Racing channel, thank you for tuning in. See you later.